Hello, today we're going to be doing chicken freezer meals because I find them really very helpful. I don't mind cooking some days, but there are days I don't want to cook. Here's the sweet Asian chicken freezer meal. Now, this is from the book Fix, Freeze, and Feast. I will put a link to that down below in the description. I don't make any money off of it, so feel free to purchase it if that's something you want to do. And as you can see, there it is, Fix, Freeze, and Feast. Now, this has a marinade that's supposed to be divvied up into 3 separate bags. However, I'm putting more chicken in here than is set for each bag. So I'm just putting the full marinade in this one bag. The first thing you would have seen me do was put in what looked like a cup of sugar and some brown stuff. Well, it's supposed to be a cup of brown sugar, but I was out of brown sugar, so I put in a cup of sugar and a tablespoon of molasses. I will go ahead and put the video link to Acre Homestead. She's a young lady who shows you how to do brown sugar if that's what you want to do. Now, the next thing you saw me plop in here was a cup of soy sauce. I use the low variety soy sauce. I don't like that briny taste you get from the full, shall we say, full leaded soy sauce. Now, next is a half a teaspoon of curry powder and 1/4 cup of lime juice. The lime juice, you can use regular limes if you want, or just get yourself a bottle of that lime concentrate. Just make sure it's a fresh bottle and it hasn't been sitting up on your shelf for about a year. So I believe I put the lime juice in, and you're probably going to see me put in, well, I must have put the curry powder in already. I mixed it together and sealed it up, but I didn't realize I forgot to put in the 3 tablespoons of minced garlic. This is supposed to be 25 cloves. Now, even though I put more chicken in here, I thought that was a bit excessive. So I didn't do 25 or 26 cloves, 25 cloves. I only did about 6 or 7, and you can see I have my garlic press. It looks like I'm struggling, but I put my garlic in the freezer so it doesn't go bad, and half the time when I come to use it, I forget to put it out and let it thaw. So that's why I'm struggling here, is I'm trying to get that garlic to press through. So there are 6 cloves of garlic. And it also calls for 2 1/4 teaspoons of crushed red pepper flake. I thought that was a little bit much and that my family might not like it, so I decreased it to like a good healthy pinch of red pepper flake and mixed that all in together. Now, once I'm finished with the garlic here, I'm going to close the bag again and go ahead and seal it. Now, when you seal these bags and getting them ready for the freezer, make sure that you take out as much air as you can, because air is going to be a bad thing in your freezer. As you probably already know, it's going to cause freezer burn. So that's what I do, is I close it out and I try to push out as much air as possible. Then I get a cookie sheet, just a regular cookie sheet pan, and I put these flat on the cookie sheet pan so they freeze flat. And when they freeze flat, that makes more room in my freezer, and I can do more of these freezer meals and not worry about it. So I should be coming back here now, and there I go, closing her up again and pushing the air out. And once this is done, we will continue on to the next meal. And I'm mixing it around a bit because they suggest putting the marinade in a bowl, but I didn't want to dirty a bowl. Well, next we're going to be working with molasses rum chicken. Now, I have done this recipe already, but I mistakenly did it with pork. And it was okay. It wasn't bad. I think it's going to be a heck of a lot better with chicken. Once again, I plopped in more chicken than the recipe calls for. I have like four breasts and a whole bunch of legs. Now, the first thing I'm plopping in is, it calls for 1.5 cups of blackstrap rum, basically a dark rum. I didn't put 1.5 cups. I thought that was a little much for this bag. I only put 1 cup. But if you're going to make the marinade for 3 bags, you'll want 1.5 cups. As you can see, I put in already 2/3 of a cup of lime juice, and I've used the concentrate instead of squeezing limes, although you can squeeze limes. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you use the concentrate, as I mentioned before, make sure it's fresh and not on your shelf for a long time. As you can see now, I'm putting in barbecue sauce because it's calling for 3/4 cup of prepared barbecue sauce. I'm using what we have on hand. Do you want to make your own? You can. I just don't have the time. So Sweet Baby Ray's is for me at this recipe. Next, I have to put in 3 tablespoons of molasses. The molasses is fun to work with. It's slow. What you may want to do is put a little oil on your spoon. What that'll do is that'll stop the molasses from sticking really bad. So once you have the molasses in, then it requires 3 tablespoons of hot pepper sauce. Now, I didn't want to use 3 tablespoons because it was going to be a little too much for my boys. I used maybe a few tablespoons, maybe. I used Cholula. You can use whatever brand you have. It doesn't really matter, I don't believe. But putting in a little hot pepper sauce is going to be helpful. I guess I'm a little bit behind myself because here's the molasses and I just put in 3 glugs. Then will come the hot pepper sauce. Now, it does call for 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, and that's to help lubricate everything, get everything moving around pretty good. It also is going to help when you get ready to grill this. Now, the first recipe and this recipe, and actually the next one too, will do better on the grill. But if you don't have a grill, that's okay. You can put this on a cookie sheet and probably use the grilling of your oven to go ahead and, duplicate a grill. It won't be exactly the same, but it should still work pretty well. Next, well, actually, other than the salt, that's all I have for this one. And I'll be closing this up and pulling out all of the bubbles and going ahead and sealing it up and getting it ready for the cookie sheet. Remember, put it on a cookie sheet, make it as flat as possible. Go ahead and give yourself as much room in your freezer as you can. You don't want to have bulky objects. So here I'm taking it, mushing it around, getting all that marinade worked around. And that's the end of this recipe. The next recipe we're going to be working is Italian dressing chicken, Olive Garden. This was created by a woman, her name is Kimberly. She's actually on the WADS channel, that's WADS. And I believe she made this up herself. I don't think this is coming from a book because she made no reference to it. Now what you're seeing me do right here is juicing limes. You take 2 limes per each bag that you're wanting to do. Juice the limes, and once you've juiced the limes, you can toss the rinds in if you want. You can't cook it with the chicken or else it'll have an awful taste. But you juice 2 limes per each bag. Now, once those limes have been juiced, you're going to follow it up with about a 1/4 cup of honey per bag. Now, honey gets to be nasty, especially when you're trying to work it with a measuring cup. So do yourself a favor. Get some Pam spray. Spray the cup before you try to put honey in it. What that'll do is that'll allow the honey just to come right out without any difficulty. And you can see I'm getting the honey now. I have the best source of honey. His name's Larry, and he actually has his own beehives, and I buy from him. So this is Larry's honey, and it's going to be a 1/4 cup in each bag. Now, once you put the 1/4 cup in each bag, then you put in the Italian dressing. Now, since she used Olive Garden, I used Olive Garden. She puts a cup per each bag. Now, I had an enormous bottle and it worked out to like a 1.5 cups, and I went ahead with that anyway because, like I mentioned, I put in extra chicken in here anyway. So once that's all in, of course you're going to close it, take the bubbles out, and get it as flat as you can. Oh, of course, I know I had mentioned this, but it's common sense. You'll want to label all these bags so you know what you have in your freezer. Give it a date, too, so you know when stuff's starting to get a little on the old side. So here we have the Olive Garden should be coming in a moment and closing it off. Now, as far as this recipe, I will give it to you down in the description. As far as the first 2 recipes, I don't believe I can because that would be plagiarism. But as I mentioned, I will give you the book and tell you exactly where on Amazon you can find it if that's what you want to do. Of course, I told you what I did as I was doing it, so that should be helpful also. And as I keep saying with all of these videos, if you like what you see, please like the video. And if you like what I'm doing, feel free to subscribe. And this way you'll see when I bring out new little videos of whatever it is I'm cooking or whatever it is I might be trying. And here I'm just massaging it in because honey doesn't tend to really want to distribute very nicely. And I'm closing off each bag. So that's all you're seeing here. And that's pretty much it for this video. So I want to thank you for your time. I really do enjoy our time together. And I guess from this point, just to go ahead and say bye-bye. See you at the next video.